Hi, my name is Rick Higgins. This is the Pirate Wanderer, and if you are watching this, you are probably interested in a non-lucrative visa in Spain. And if so, I got some details for you. Now, for starters, I know this is going to be a long video, but honestly, if you're watching this, this is probably something you're going to watch end to end because there are a lot of details in this. Now, I've also broken this down in sections. If you look down below in the description, there's a whole list of them and that whole scrolly title thing around the bottom. YouTube's made it very easy for you just to kind of click around on the sections if you want, if you need to go back and listen to something or jump ahead to find something you're very specifically interested in. First of all, what is a non-lucrative visa? Well, there are a number of visas, as you probably know, for getting into a country. There's a tourist visa, there's a work visa, there's an education visa. Spain has this thing called a non-lucrative visa. The bottom line basically means you can't work. You cannot work in Spain and take away a job from a Spaniard. Now, there are rumors that there are two varieties of this. One is basically you're going to retire there. You're going to use your retirement funds, you're going to live off of money you've already created, and you're simply going to live in Spain and pump cash into their economy, and they love this. There are some consulates, and by the way, you can only get an LLV in a consulate or an embassy in your country of origin. You cannot be in Spain and do this. For me, we live in Miami. We have to go through the Miami consulate. Now, some consulates will allow a non-lucrative visa to be used for a remote worker. Some won't. And that's kind of one of the problems you've got is no matter where you go around the country, and I'm going to start talking more specifically about the U.S. now because it's really the only knowledge I have, your consulate determines everything. They have kind of their own rules, even though there are national rules they have to follow. You're going to kind of go by whatever your consulate works. In Miami, they really don't like the idea of remote work. So we went the whole retirement route. Now, here's the fun part. This is not me getting a non-lucrative visa. I have one. I had one back in May. We were all set to leave May 1st. We were supposed to be living in the El Born neighborhood over in Barcelona, and then COVID hit, and every plan, everything that we had just went completely out of the window. We had to move here to a different house in Miami. Everything turned tossy-turny. We didn't know what would happen. Now, one of the things about a non-lucrative visa is it's sort of a two-parter. You do the stuff in the United States, and then once you get over there, you have 3 months to complete the rest of the paperwork. And by the way, none of that is going to be in this video because I haven't done it yet, obviously. But our dates ran out. Our dates long ran out. I just figured the visa was over. Now, I also have to throw a caveat in here. We used an attorney in Barcelona. You can do this yourself. There's a ton of things online to tell you how to do it. Use this video to tell you how to do it. I will tell you, make sure your paperwork is perfect. If it's not, they're going to send you away and you're going to do it again. So we wanted to use an attorney because we figured they would have, well, better knowledge than we did. And honestly, it worked out. It was a lot more expensive. Like, I think we paid 800 euros for me and 500 euros for Nikki, my girlfriend. More on that in a later bit. It was worth it for me, but you can do it yourself. Now, to wrap that part up, the good part is we are going back. Our attorney spoke with the Spanish consulate here in Miami. They are willing to reissue our non-lucrative visa, just with new dates. We're going back November 1st. We're hoping. There'll be updates on this. This is the working plan right now. But we're going back November 1st, if we can. And then we'll be able to continue the paperwork, and I can live in a city that I truly love to live in. Okay. What are the list of documents you're going to need? And I'm going to read these to you, and I will tell you the list is long. And pay attention. There are some things that you absolutely have to know because there are things that are going to get you. You're going to need your original passport, and it has to be valid for at least 1 year after the date that you get there, and you're going to need a full copy of that passport. You're going to need a driver's license. It is also going to have a current address and a copy of the driver's license. Now, a word of warning, addresses matter. We had two places down here in Florida, the main house in Miami, and we had this little trailer by the bay down in Key Largo. Just so that we can keep a foot in both places, Nikki had an address here. I had the address in Key Largo. None of our addresses matched up. It was a mad scramble for me to change my address to Bick, living in Miami, the same place that Nikki was, and to get all of that paperwork updated. So make sure your addresses are all very consistent. Anyway, what else? You're going to need 2 passport-sized pictures. That's pretty obvious, pretty simple. There's an application that you're going to fill out. You're going to need 2 copies of that as well. And by the way, when I say you need copies, you're going to make copies of your copies. You need 2 copies. You're going to need your criminal records stamped by the FBI. Now, there are 2 flavors of this. You can get this through your state government. We went through the FBI. And I'm going to get more into this in a bit. The records also need to be apostilled, stamped with the Haya Apostle. I will tell you about that in a second. And translated by a sworn translator. If nothing else, pay attention to that part later. You're going to have to apply for this on the online system with the FBI blows. I will tell you that right now. Do not use a Chrome browser because you will put in all of your information. It will give you an error and you can't go back and do it. They're screwed up. You're going to go online with the FBI. You're going to put in all of your information and you're going to submit a request. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth, assuming you pass and you're not one of the top 10 criminals. There's a lot of back and forth of what you're going to do with that document that they eventually send you. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's get back to the list of documents. You're going to need a medical certificate signed by your doctor and a copy. Now, there really isn't a form for this. Our attorney gave us one that kind of worked. Basically, on the sheet of paper and there is some verbiage that the consulates will give you. It basically swears that you are healthy, you are fine, you're not going to get sick, you're not going to get anyone else sick, you're not going to be a burden on their healthcare system. On that paper, it needs to be in English and in Spanish. And then, yes, believe it or not, you're going to translate all of that into Spanish again as well. Get a medical certificate from your doctor swearing you are healthy, that you're not going to be a burden, and have English and Spanish all on the same piece of paper. You're going to need bank certificates. Now, like I say, we went showing that we were going to live off of retirement funds. For us, in the year that we did this, and we were planning on going in 2020, May 1st, we needed 26,000 euros per year, plus 6,500 euros per year for my spouse. More on that later. So you got to show that in the bank. And honestly, I don't know if it's per year, or because these non-lucrative visas can essentially, I think it's 1 year, 2 year. Still, it's been so long, I'm still trying to refresh myself on a lot of this. There is a time limit. Do look up and find out, do you need this money for just 1 year or for up to the 5 years before you can ask for permanent residency? They also recommend that you show bank statements for the past year and certificates for investment accounts. This was actually quite important. I provided all of this information. And as we showed up to the window, I guess it was 3 weeks stale or 4 weeks stale. They were kind enough to allow us to go out, get onto a computer, download the absolute latest bank statements, go find somebody with a copy machine somewhere in the building and bring it back to them. But before you go, bank statements, get the latest one that day before you bring it in. Bank statements do not have to be translated, by the way. What else? You're going to need to prove your local residence, and local residence meaning your local residence in Spain. Now, we were going to use an Airbnb because once you're there, you need to show a lease. You need to show something that says, I live here, this is where I live. It has to do with the paperwork once you're in country, because you're going to have to get your, I can't remember the letters. It's basically your national card. You have to have an address for it. Can't use an Airbnb, and we didn't know this. We signed up for 2.5 months of an Airbnb. You got 3 months to actually get the paperwork. So when you go over, get your Airbnb or your home away or whatever you're going to do for the least amount of time, probably just a month. Spend the month once you're getting there, find where you're going to live, and get that permanent address because you're going to need it. And the embassy or the consulate here in the States is going to want to see that you have something. For the Miami, they would accept the Airbnb as a temporary measure. Our problem is once we got there. Medical insurance coverage. You're going to have to get health coverage. There are several, and it's Spanish health coverage, actually, to get it from them. There are several good companies. They're all about the same. Basically, you're going to get full coverage, no deductible, and you're going to have to prepay it for at least a year. And while it seems expensive, because you're going to be writing one giant check, you're going to be surprised if you compare it to how much you pay for your health insurance here in the United States. Minus the deductible, it's I'll be doing stories on this one. Healthcare in Spain, but get your medical. You got to have your insurance. At least you got to do that. All right, there is a tax form you need to fill out. And there's a motivation letter, and this one's kind of fun. You need to write a letter explaining why you want to be a resident, even if it's a non-lucrative resident. Why do you want to be a resident in Spain? Now, we worked with our attorney on this a lot. I thought I wrote, a fairly eloquent letter, but I don't know if it matters. I don't know if they read it. I know that the person at the counter that accepted it from us just kind of glanced at it, and I'm going to talk about her in a little bit. But you do need a very well-written, this is why I want to be here letter. Sell yourself. How much you love Spain, because if you're going, you probably do. How much you love the culture, how much you want to incorporate it into your life. Don't be negative, be positive. Just be absolutely positive, and you'll do great. And the last document, well, it's not a document, you're going to be paying the consulate tax. Okay, how do you put all of this together? It is a lot of paperwork. I use Dropbox. I created, and here, I'll show you above me, I created a whole list of folders, and every single piece of paper that came in, even if it was an email, I made a copy of it and I stuck it in the folder. Get some kind of organization system, whether it's paper or electronic or both, but you're going to be going back and forward over these. Create a list of every document you need and every nuance of every document, and keep checking them, keep tracking them. Like I say, the key to winning this is to be perfect when you show up. If you ain't perfect, you ain't getting it, and you're coming back. Now, apostling versus notary and a translator, I have to explain this one, and I don't know that I can explain it really well. If you need to have a document notarized, and a lot of these documents do, a notary is simply saying that you are who you said you are. So if I sign this piece of paper, I have to go before a notary, and they're going to go, yes, I verified that was indeed Rick Higgins. Apostle is like a notary, but for a document. So for instance, when you get the FBI document that says this Rick Higgins is perfectly safe and criminal free, an apostle is a stamp that is recognized globally that said that was the FBI that created that document. So, and in a lot of these documents, you're going to have to get both, because you're going to be notarizing the fact that you did it, and then you're going to have to be apostling the fact that that document actually came from a valid source. Now, the other thing about apostles is it depends on what document you get. We had documents that came from the state of Florida. We had to send them off to Tallahassee, Florida, the capital, to be apostoled. The FBI documents, we had to have apostoled at the State Department. So when you go through your documents, and by the way, this video is by no means an extensive, exhaustive input into each of them. If you do have questions or anything, please email me, comment me, whatever you want, and I'll at least tell you what we went through. But where was I? I don't know. Use certified mail for everything. Absolutely everything. The last thing you want, because you're going to be on a tight time frame, a lot of these documents you have can become stale very quickly. You're going to have to do all of this basically within a month, and it's going to take a month to get some of these processed. So use certified mail, pay the extra money to get overnight service, make sure your documents are where they're supposed to be and are moving as quickly as possible. Incredibly key. Also, translator. Your friend Consuela down the street cannot translate your documents for you. The way that works is the government of Spain has created a long list of sworn valid translators that they will recognize throughout. Now, we found one here in Miami that was incredible, and if you're in Miami and you need their name, ask me and I'll let you know. Basically, you send them the documents by email and they look them over, they will translate them, and they will send them back to you for a fee that you kind of pay online. I think I was paying anywhere between $10 and $20 a document for translation services. Now, remember, you have to have their sworn translator. When in doubt, translate everything. The only thing I did not translate was my bank statement, because it was like 30 pages long, and you pay by the page, by the way, for translation services. So, but when in doubt, get it translated. It can't hurt, and get it translated by a sworn one. Okay, I alluded to something earlier, and this is probably not going to apply to you. But if you were living in Florida, or if you are not married, but you kind of are married and you want to figure out how to do this, let me tell you how we did it. My girlfriend Nikki and I, we've been living together for a long time. We consider ourselves married, we consider ourselves husband and wife. We are not legally married. Spain, if you want to get on their visa, you have to be married. They don't recognize shacking up. There is something in the state of Florida called a domestic, what is it called? It's called a domestic partnership. It's essentially a legal document, and this comes from Tallahassee, that says this other person is legally allowed to make decisions for you. You are in a domestic partnership. It's kind of like being married without actually being married. It actually has other things beneficial. If something were to happen to me, Nikki can make decisions for me and vice versa. Now that document, if you have to get it, is a pain in the butt because they are creating it for completely different reasons. Now for us, that is a document that you get and you sign it and you have this little certificate and a little small piece of paper that says you are domestic partners. Have to have that notarized and apostilled. They will not apostille it without the notary. They will not tell you that on the website. If you call them up, the clerical people are not really bright up there in Tallahassee. But if you get it, take every piece of paper, get every single thing that they send you back on the domestic partnership, get it notarized. Even though they tell you you don't have to, get everything notarized, send it up, get everything apostilled, then get everything translated. That almost screwed us because we didn't know about the notary and we got those documents at the very last minute. Some helpful tips. Some consulates take appointments. If you need to make an appointment, get it early. And by that, I mean, if you want an appointment 2 months from now, call today. Get on their schedule. If you've been to Spain, I'm assuming if you're getting a non-lucrative visa for Spain, you've been to Spain. Spain works a little differently. They're a little slower. If your consulate requires an appointment, get one as early as you possibly can because they're going to fill up quick. They don't pack 27 per hour. The Miami consulate does not accept appointments. It's first come, first serve. We were recommended, and what we did was we actually showed up about an hour and a half early to stand in line, and there were already 4 people in front of us. And they literally will take you in the order that you are received, because they also have a limit per day. Now, I'll just give you kind of an idea of what we did. We walked in, we sat down, we had all of our paperwork, we had our number that was called. When we were called, we went into this room. They are behind sort of this glass wall, and I've never seen anybody more proficient and quick. The people there were incredibly friendly, more than incredibly friendly, but they were also very much sticklers for the paperwork. There's somebody there who's going to go through each and every document. They're going to go through your each and every copy, looking for very, very specific things. And if your ducks are not in a row, they're going to send you away. Like I say, you're going to need to make a copy of everything. Your stack of documents that you're going to bring with you is going to be easily 2 inches thick. You're going to need to have a copy of all of that. Make 2 copies. They don't need them. They're going to keep a copy, but keep one for yourself. Copies are important. Copies are cheap. Go down to Kinko's or wherever you happen to have. Make another copy. Always have them. And in the days before you go down, before your appointment, again, go through your checklist. Go through each and every document. Make sure that what they're looking for is what they are going to get. And then you wait. Now, we have heard horror stories of how long it takes other consulates to do this. It actually wasn't bad for us. It was maybe 8-9 days later, I get an email going, hey, it's ready. And by the way, what it is there is a stamp that they put in your passport. Oh, I forgot to tell you, your passport has to have 2 pages side by side available because the stamp is big. So make sure that if you've got a passport that you have 2 pages side by side when you open it up for them to stamp it in. They're going to put that in and they're going to give you some of your paperwork back along with some additional things. Keep that packet. Do not lose that packet. You're going to need it in country. Now, like I say, for us, it went fairly quickly. If you're going to pick it up, you have to pick it up. If your spouse has on there, they have to pick it up. We made that mistake. Nikki went to get ours. She couldn't get mine because she wasn't me. I had to go a couple days later and pick it up as well. But your consulate may be slower, may be faster. But be aware that when you pick your date to get your documents, don't expect to travel 2 days later. Now, like I say, this does not include the process that's in country, and I hear there's a lot of it, and that's one of the biggest reasons that we've got an attorney, is because you are going to be going to different police stations and different places to get this tax form and that document and this residency and yada, 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 yada. And apparently they don't tell you which ones, and not all police stations do the same thing. So you're probably going to need a helpful guide once you get there. We're going to make lots of videos once we're there to help you with that. Yes, we are going to be traveling in the middle of COVID. We've got a lot of COVID travel concerns. I'm going to be making a video on what we're planning on doing. They are doing what they require. I don't know if there's a quarantine right now. I don't know if we land and have to be tested. I don't know if we have to fly directly in country. There's a lot I don't know. I just wanted to kind of get this through there. And I also, once we get there, we'll start talking about what life is like in Spain during a pandemic. What's it like when we get back home? Now, we've been there to Barcelona twice. Overall, I guess we've lived there, I don't know, 6-7 months in total. It's our favorite city, our favorite place to be. Spanish culture, Spanish food, Spanish everything is just wonderful. Good luck on your non-lucrative visa. If you have any questions, if you want to see some examples of what we've done, anything like that, please reach out to me, because I think the more people we get out, the more people we get sharing cultures and enjoying the world, the better. So until next time, be healthy, be wealthy, be wise. Hope everyone is safe and healthy in your household. And we're going to talk to you soon. Adios.